Assalamu alaikum. So today our topic of discussion is Silas Marner by George Eliot. डिटेल समरी करेक्टर लिस्ट जो है वो इसकी कर ली थी, आज इसकी डिटेल समरी करेंगे. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट दिस वीडियो विदाउट एनी डिले. Silas Marner is the weaver in the English countryside village of Ravelou in the early 19th century. तो नावल की सेटिंग जो है वो 19th century है. Like many weavers of his time, he is an outsider, the object of suspicion because of his special skills and the fact that he has come to Ravelou from elsewhere. तो ये पहले जो है साइलस ये रेवेन्यू से नहीं थे, बल्कि ये कहीं और से यहाँ रहने के लिए आए थे. The villager sees Silas as especially odd because of the curious cataleptic fits he occasionally suffer. Tantrums. Silas has ended up in Ravelou because the member of his religious sect in Lawton Yard, an insular neighborhood in a large town, falsely accused him of theft and excommunicated him. After the accusation, Silas finds nothing familiar in Ravelou to reawaken his faith and falls into a numbing routine of solitary work. His one attempt at neighborliness backfires when an herbal remedy he suggests for a neighbor's illness works. He is rumored to be a sort of witch doctor. With little else to live for, Silas becomes infatuated with the money he earns for his work and hoards it. Every night Silas pulls his gold out from its hiding place beneath his floorboards to count it. He carries on in this way for 15 years. Squire Cass is the wealthiest man in Ravelou, and his two eldest sons are Godfrey and Dunstan or Dunse. Dunse is greedy and cruel and enjoys tormenting Godfrey, the eldest son. Godfrey is good-natured but weak-willed, and though secretly married to the opium addict Molly Farron. He is in love with Nancy Lammeter. Dunse talked Godfrey into the marriage and rapidly blackmails him with threats to reveal the marriage to their father. Godfrey gives Dunse £100 of the rent money paid to him by one of their father's tenants. Godfrey then finds himself in a bind when Dunse insists that Godfrey repay the sum himself. Dunse once again threatens to reveal Godfrey's marriage, but after some arguing, offers to sell Godfrey's prize horse, Wildfire, to repay the loan. The next day, Dunse meets with some friends who are hunting and negotiates the sale of the horse. Dunse decides to participate in the hunt before finalizing the sale, and in doing so he has a riding accident that kills the horse. Knowing the rumors of Silas' hoard, Dunse makes plan to intimidate the weaver into lending him money. His walk home takes him by Silas's cottage, and finding the cottage empty, Dunse steals the money instead. Silas returns from an errand to find his money gone. Overwhelmed by the loss, he runs to the local tavern for help and announces the theft to a sympathetic audience of tavern regulars. The theft becomes the talk of the village, and a theory arises that the thief might have been a peddler who came to the village some time before. Godfrey, meanwhile, is distracted by thoughts of Dunse, who has not returned home. After hearing that Wildfire has been found dead, that Godfrey decides to tell his father about the money and not about his marriage. The squire flies into a rage at the news but does not do anything drastic to punish Godfrey. Silas is utterly disconsolate at the loss of his gold and numbly continues his waving. Some of the town people stop by to offer their condolence and advice. Among them, visits Dolly Winthrop stands out. Among these visitors, Dolly Winthrop stands out. Like many of the others, she encourages Silas to go to church, something he has not done since he was banished from Lawton Yard. But she is also gentle and more sympathetic. Nancy Lammeter arrives at Square Cass's famed New Year's dance, resolved to reject Godfrey's advances because of his unsound character. However, Godfrey is more direct and insistent than he has been in a long time. Meanwhile, Molly, Godfrey's secret wife, is making her way to the Cass's house to reveal the secret marriage. She has their daughter, a toddler, in her arms. Tiring after her long walk, Molly takes a draught of opium and passes out by the road. Seeing Silas's cottage and drawn by the light of the fire, Molly's little girl wanders through the open door and falls asleep at Silas's hearth. Silas is having one of his fits at the time and does not notice the little girl enter his cottage. When he comes to, he sees her already asleep on his hearth and is as stunned by her appearance as he was by the disappearance of his money. A little later, Silas traces the girl's footsteps outside and finds Molly's body lying in the snow. Silas goes to the squire's house to find the doctor and causing the stir at the dance when he arrives with the girl in his arms. Godfrey recognizes his daughter, accompanies the doctor to Silas's cottage. When the doctor declares that Molly is dead, Godfrey realizes that his secret is safe. He does not claim his daughter and Silas adopts her. Silas grows increasingly attached to the child and names her Appy after his mother and sister. With Dolly Winthrop's help, Silas raises the child lovingly. Appy begins to serve as a bridge between Silas and the rest of the villagers, who offers him help and advice and have come to think of him as an exemplary person because of what he has done. Appy also brings Silas out of the benumbed state he falls into after the loss of his gold. In his newfound happiness, Silas began to explore the memories of his past that he has long repressed. The novel jumps ahead 16 years. Godfrey has married Nancy and Squire Cass has died. Godfrey has inherited his father's house, but he and Nancy have no children. Their one daughter died at birth and Nancy has refused to adopt. Appy has grown into a pretty and spirited young woman and Silas a contented father. The stone pit behind Silas's cottage is drained to water neighboring field and Dunce's skeleton is found at the bottom along with Silas's gold. Godfrey, who becomes convinced that his own secrets are destined to uncover as well, he confesses the truth to Nancy about his marriage to Molly and fathering of Appy. Nancy is not angry but regretful, saying that they could have adopted Eppie legitimately if Godfrey had told her sooner. That evening, Godfrey and Nancy decide to visit Silas's cottage to confess the truth of Eppie's lineage and claim her as their daughter. However, after hearing Godfrey and Nancy's story, Eppie tells them she would rather stay with Silas than live with her biological father. Godfrey and Nancy leave, resigning themselves for helping Eppie from afar. The next day, Silas decides to visit Lawton Yard to see if he was ever cleared of the theft of which he was accused of years before. The town has changed beyond recognition through, and Silas's old chapel has been torn down to make way for a new factory. Silas realizes that his questions will never be answered, but he is content with the sense of faith he has recognized through his life with Eppie. That summer, Eppie is married to Aaron Winthrop, Dolly's son. Aaron comes to live in Silas's cottage, which has been expanded and refurbished at Godfrey's expense. समरी इसकी थोड़ी सी लंबी है, लेकिन सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग नावल मुझे जॉर्ज एलियट का यही लगा है। और अगर समरी के पॉइंट इस तरह बना के तो इसको याद किया जाए या फिर इसके पॉइंट्स को देख लिया जाए तो काफ़ी इम्पोर्टेंट और माइंड में इजीली बैठ जाते हैं, इसलिए समरी के पॉइंट बना लेना काफ़ी इम्पोर्टेंट है। ओके, आज की वीडियो यही थी। आज का टॉपिक साइलस मर्नर की डिटेल समरी थी। अल्लाह हाफिज़।